Are you a student who believes in freedom? Are you a student who rocks at writing? Then head on over to nhlibertyessay.com. nhlibertyessay.com is sponsoring a contest in which the winner could receive up to $100. Head on over to nhlibertyessay.com. Get out your pen and defeat the other students. Dave Ridley here, signing in for ridleyreport.com. It is March 25th, 2008. Behind me, something's going on which is very rare in New Hampshire politics. New Hampshire senators have attempted to change a bill on the floor and add something completely unrelated to it. It's their sneaky way of trying to get New Hampshire into the real ID system. So we're going to see what happens inside that hearing room. I'm just going to give you a couple shots of how it looks as the masses, or relative masses, of people have turned out on short notice to fight the real ID.
A court order, as I had suggested. Then the Attorney General, they could meet the higher standard of probable cause. We can do a better job earlier on of fighting crime.
Now, by way of background, the New Hampshire Senate last week voted unanimously to sneak in a sort of amendment to an unrelated bill. The amendment would request that Governor John Lynch ask the Department of Homeland Security for what's called an extension to the Real ID deadline. The Real ID deadline, of course, would be a time in which we are supposed to tell the Department of Homeland Security that as a state we will comply with their controversial Real ID Act and begin measures to comply. However, New Hampshire has passed a law that says we are forbidden from complying with that. So this amendment is very controversial, and that's why you see folks in there testifying against it. They don't want anyone so much as requesting that the governor do such a thing, and they don't want the governor so much as thinking about requesting a Real ID extension, because it would be a sign of weakness against the feds in the ongoing Real ID rebellion.
Very troubling when we allow the executive to do something that is normal. So I would certainly, 9 and 10. And it is for a very limited venue of crime. I mean, Administrative Congress of the United States of America. And that in our ratification and in all the ratifications that indicated an amendment in this area, they said they referred to powers expressly delegated to Congress. Everything else was reserved to the state. Nothing that was expressly delegated imparts any implication of such power. So we certainly have the right to say no. And I would urge that we do. Secondly, just the way the bill itself is worded is applying for an extension, for a deadline for compliance, for something which we do not intend to participate in. And that is an oxymoron. I mean, I actually thought the governor's letter was very artful and simply asked for an exemption. That's appropriate. An extension for a deadline to which you do not intend to comply is nonsensical. Crime has been or is believed to be being from a branch of government into the hands of another branch. It's not just a commingling.
You would have no problem, and that would include the...
That recently is a little discomforting.
The gentleman you just saw speaking there is Representative Dan Itse of the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. What's happening right now is they're discussing this bill that has this unrelated Real ID thing attached to it. Or maybe I should say they're not discussing it. The lady in there who's chairing the committee has welcomed testimony on the Real ID issue, but they're not really going to discuss that. They're going to discuss the meat of the bill rather than the unaffiliated amendment.
So there you have a quick look at and a feel for the hearing. Be more Real ID things going on today, which you may have already seen. And there's, of course, a lot more people that will be testifying later on today against the Real ID bill. Almost everyone you saw in there was probably there to testify against Real ID. Signing out for ridleyreport.com from the State House in Concord, New Hampshire.